You're using your treadmill.
Me, hang on. It's definitely me. All right. Say something. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
All right.
I had to change my.
See, you're using the treadmill.
Yeah. It's the new year, right? Gotta
I just
stuff.
I just bought one, so it just arrived today.
Oh, did you?
Me and Haircut Fish met me over the holidays. He came to my place and we sat down and we talked about how we could motivate each other. So he does an hour of walking a day and then sends me a message to put me on accountability to do mine.
I love it. Accountability is like, that is a, that's a thing. I wish I had more accountability with things. Okay, all right, we got all the streams going. What's going on, various canaries? How you doing? Welcome everybody. Hope you're all doing well today. This is our weekly AMA. So ask me or ask us anything. It's a very open format where everybody is more than welcome to participate. We have this streaming out on the YouTube, on LinkedIn, and Twitch, and probably Facebook or something too, just so we can have the recordings for everybody. But again, everybody's more than welcome to ask questions, or if you'd like to participate and help answer questions, we love that too, because sometimes we don't have all the answers. What's going on, Ethical Hacker 2600? So yeah, if anybody wants to go ahead and get started, you're more than welcome to put your questions in the chat. Or if you'd like to come up and join us on stage, you can do that as well. I see quite a few new faces here, so welcome everybody. Don't feel obligated or pressured to participate in any way. You can just hang out with us. That's totally okay. If you're wondering what it is that I'm doing, because it probably looks, I don't know, it might look weird to some people. I know I've gotten those comments before. I'm on a treadmill. So I have a standing desk. I have a treadmill under me. I'm trying to get my steps in. So if I look funny, and you're like, why is Zach moving so much? I'm walking on a treadmill. What's going on, Night Stalker? How you doing? Various Canaries, your fiance and you compete on exercising with your Apple Watches. That's awesome. Whoever wins picks the dinner place for date night every month. That's awesome. Like that's a freaking fantastic idea. You thought I was powering the stream with the treadmill? Probably could. Maybe. Pull up this chat. I think there we go. What's going on? Blur Blair. How you doing? Dialing from the YouTube. I'd need to be running. What if I just had it like the tension super high? Would that work?
On a bike, probably.
A bike? I have a bike.
Yeah, I don't think tension thing will work in a treadmill.
To power something? Does it need to be moving like fast to power things?
I would say faster on a treadmill.
Yeah, I'm not even close to powering the stream. No. I probably couldn't even power the light bulb, like the light right now with me on the treadmill, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a little bit dark. Okay, it's a very, very bit dark, but I found it very, very amusing. Okay, and you may have heard me share this story before, but I was wondering, this is a couple months ago, with the growing popularity of LLMs and the GPTs and all that stuff, and how everybody's so worried that it's going to take over the entire world, and we're going to be left without jobs. I was like, okay, well, if AI takes over everything, it's just AI running everything. How are we going to afford to power the servers and everything? Like, how are we going to manage that? So I asked AI, how many human beings would it take to power, ChatGPT on a daily basis? And first thing it said back to me was like, that is a very dystopian outlook, Zach, but here's your answer. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But it was like, I don't know, 17 million people a day riding on bikes would be enough to power some of the server farms needed to keep them running. So, when we're without jobs because AI takes everything, we'll just be riding bikes to power them. I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. It was very dystopian, though. It does sound like an episode of Black Mirror for sure. Yeah, could you imagine just, 17 million people around the world just constantly on bikes all day? Oh, I missed a question. I'm sorry. Thank you, Brett. Yeah, I don't. What is your handle? Do I just call you Dash? Cryptic Roses. That's right. I would love to hear UK Peeps insights on what certs to get for someone who graduated and had trouble finding a job in cyber and now is thinking of being cloud admin help desk. Wasn't like what is that one? I can't think of it. It starts with a
If it's
C.
cybersecurity, it's Crest stuff.
Yeah, Crust. I don't know why I couldn't think of that one. Crest is the biggest one over there in the UK. That's probably like what you're going to hear the most from everybody. That is the big deal. I know Antisyphon, we're trying to work on some Crust things right now, which I'm super stoked about. Crust. Are you guys able to hear the treadmill and stuff too? Sorry, it might be kind of loud.
No, we don't hear that.
I love that we have 3 different arms represented in the shirts.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, awesome. Crust.
Crust
and Crust. Here's a question from the YouTube from Chris Lopez. What are your thoughts on getting a job in medical device cybersecurity? There's such a tiny corner of industry, at least it feels that way, or IOMT. I ask because I'm interested in starting a company servicing maintenance, repair, and inventory medical equipment, but also trying in cybersecurity services, sort of an all-in-one. Sounds like an awful lot, but it's very niche. So, if you could find your way into that area, like you'll probably find some success in there, because I would imagine that there's not a ton of people who are going to be in that area. I mean, I'm sure that there's some, and there may be opportunities out there for you to like further investigate and see what other companies are doing in that area. But if you're looking to go off on your own, always like niching down and finding like your specific area is going to be the easier to do than trying to be like this Zach of all trades, if you will.
Yeah.
What's going on, Mama Sugar Take?
The security teams on those in that field is almost always really small, so you have to do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, Cryptic Roses Crust cert. Sorry, let me pull up the link.
Medical devices, like any type of applications or device training you have for security, like being able to handle that's a field to get into. It doesn't have to be just medical devices, just the amount of applications and things being developed for devices. Like they all need some level of security testing, so that's a niche to get into.
It's hard to walk and type and talk and do all those things.
That means you're getting good exertion there. It's good for you. If you can't talk while you're walking, you're getting the right amount of exercise.
Perfect. This is becoming difficult. Chris, you're thinking of smaller clinics and stuff that don't have in-house IT. Yeah, could be a possibility for sure. Yeah, go ahead, Night Stalker. How you doing?
I was gonna say pretty good. No, when you talk about IoT and medical devices, anything in the Internet of Things, you're gonna have to deal with to kind of expand on that as well. I mean, manufacturing, you're gonna have PLC and OT. I would suggest going more for OT as well as IT devices, because then your market expands greatly by including OT as well as IT in your stable of tools, so to speak.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Is there any other advice you have on that front? Like maybe getting started? Anything you can suggest?
Well, I know manufacturing and is always looking for OT engineers and service providers, people to come in and help secure their OT environments. I actually, when I started out in cybersecurity, my first job was in a SOC at a manufacturing uh, company, and being able to incorporate OT security into the IT security realm is not as niche as you think it is, because everybody, just about every sector of critical infrastructure is using some type of OT device. I mean, you've got SCADA, you've got PLCs um, throughout water, wastewater, electrical, healthcare. Um, I mean, you even see OT devices in the education space. So knowing, and IoT will fit into that um, OT realm, because when you look at IoT and OT, these are all devices that are not highly sophisticated. They're computers, but they're very, I almost want to say primitive. They have one function and they do it well, but they don't have the resources of a server or a laptop or a desktop or a tablet. So they do require a more secure environment to work in, and being able to blend IT and OT together is truly going to if you're looking to get into that space in securing OT, there is a huge market for it right now.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you stopping in and helping answer that question, dude. Thank you very much. And it's good to see you.
I know it's been a little while, Zach.
Yeah, it is. I was surprised to see your name pop up. So yeah, it's good seeing you.
I was gonna say, I know you probably missed me like the plague, but hey.
No, dude, it's so good to see familiar faces or, well, names, I guess, after a while. So no, dude, it's always a pleasure, man. It's good to know like the community, community's still around, like that everybody's still here in some way. Maybe not all the time, but it's just good to know that, there's none of us have made enemies of people or whatever, if that makes sense. It's like, oh man, like you still come around, you're still a fan, or you still just appreciate whatever's happening type of thing and want to give back. And I think that's what I appreciate the most, is like the people who come back to these and then give back. Like that's what all of this is to me, man. Like, I don't know. Sorry. I didn't mean to go down like a whatever, any type of way there. Just thank you. That's what I'll end with. Thank you. I got a question here from Knits and Crochet 424. If you don't have a computer background and want to get into IT field, what fast track certification should you get as a beginner? I just put out a video on this literally like 15 minutes. Well, it's 20 minutes ago now. But Leon, Brett, you got anything?
I will shy away from certifications since you're just getting into computers. Just start using a computer, tinkering around, trying to figure out different stuff, not just using the web browser, trying to learn how to change things around the operating system, not sticking only to Windows or Mac OS. Also try some Linux virtual machines and so on. And you'll naturally get good at computers.
So knits and crochet, you'll hear a lot about the CompTIA A+, because that has for some time been like the de facto entry-level IT certification. I would strongly avoid that at all costs. However, I would avoid it in the sense of you going and obtaining that certification, where you are spending your hard-earned dollars to obtain that certification. Don't do that. You can spend your time learning that material, and I would highly, strongly suggest that. The material from the CompTIA A+ it's pretty good, but I would go out onto YouTube like you are now. Look up Professor Messer on YouTube. It's all free. It's all free content, but all of this content is geared towards the CompTIA A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. All of the material that he has there will teach you everything that you need to know to pass those exams. But again, you don't need to necessarily take those exams. I wouldn't take the A+. I wouldn't take the Network Plus. If you are absolutely dead set on getting a certification and something that's more geared towards entry level, go after the Security Plus. That is going to be your best bet in 2026 and going forward. Just hands down, I would say that is going to be the best as far as marketability goes for you. And the knowledge that you're going to learn from that, I think, is going to be the most beneficial out of all of it. And that's not to say like the A+ isn't good or the Network Plus isn't good. I mean, they're not great, right? They're not. They're fine. They'll get you started. And that's, I think, what you're kind of looking for right now is like, how do I get started? And it's just really starting to learn some of the foundational material and information that's out there. And again, I bring up like the CompTIA stuff because if you ask that same question that you asked to us to 100 different people, you're going to mostly get very, very similar answers just because it's entry level. You know, like that is a very specific thing. When it comes to entry level, pretty much it's ingrained into everybody's brains at this point that like CompTIA is entry level. CompTIA is so far behind the curve at this point that it's a joke, and it's very, very sad. So that upsets me. You know, I'm clearly very vocal about that, and I have no problems sharing my thoughts and feelings about it. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't necessarily recommend them at the same time either, right? Like that's like the screwed up thing about it is like when it comes to the industry kind of dictates like what's what in a way, right? The industry for a long time has said like the CompTIA stuff is gold standard for entry level. I think the industry is now for really like the last few years, especially since like 2020, has been steering away from that significantly in many ways, because there's so much great free material out here on the internet that can get you started, that can get your hands on the keyboard, and you'll actually learn the things that you need to know to be effective in the field. So sorry, I can go on a whole tirade about all this stuff and I should just shut up. But anyway, thank you for your question. I hope that's helpful for you.
Well, and
check out Professor Messer.
But yeah, you make a good point. And always I always go through the route of, you know, well, what are your asking somebody, what are your goals? You know, if you're looking for, you know, if your goal is to become the best, most well-rounded help desk professional out there, which some people just have a proclivity for help desk, you know, but learning, you know, going through the ITF plus, the IT fundamentals plus, the A plus. When it comes to networking, Network Plus is, I mean, it is still, you know, an industry standard. But if you really want to learn hardcore computer networking, you know, the Cisco Networking Academy, you know, CCNA, CCNP, and actually Cisco came out with a certification where it's, what is it, the CCCT or the Cisco Certified Network Technician, which is the precursor. It's the equivalent of taking the CCNA 1 class. And then testing for that. So, you know, learning subnetting, learning, you know, because so many times, you know, because I've since I graduated, you know, with my associate's degree, I've actually gone back to the same community college and I consult on the course, on some of the courses that I took. And it's, you know, I constantly have students asking me, you know, well, what search should I concentrate on? What what degree path should I look at beyond this, and what are your goals? Is truly what do you hope to accomplish in your career? Because I think we so many times we confuse, uh, you know, making ourselves marketable to the industry, that we either over certify ourselves, over educate ourselves to where we're not able to accomplish the basic goal of get a job.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, man. 100% on all that for sure. I think a lot of times, a lot of people, especially trying to get into this industry, they get so overwhelmed with the information that's out there. It becomes very difficult for them to even understand or know what it is that they want to do. They just hear like somebody say IT is a great career, or they just have an interest in computers, and then somebody might suggest, oh, you should work in computers. And for so many of these people, it's like, what does that even mean? And I feel like we as the industry do a really terrible job of like introducing people to like what IT actually is, and helping then further introduce them to like a learning path or learning journey that's actually going to be helpful and successful for them. This to me is where like, sorry to bring this up if you heard me like go on this tirade before, but we need oh, I can't even think of the word now. Brett, help me out. You know what I'm talking about. Or Leon, not an internship. It's like a trade. Why my mind is drawing a blank right now. Like electricians and all that. They're part of a, somebody
Technical
said,
training?
well, no, it's a apprenticeship. Thank you. Apprenticeships. Like, gosh, I don't know why my brain was not working on that one. Apprenticeships. Yes. Like, I really wish like the industry would move towards apprenticeships, because that would actually teach people what they need to know for the jobs, right? Like, you're actually shadowing people doing the thing. Anyway, that's a whole other thing.
Zach, it's funny that you mentioned that, because there is an organization out there called CyberUp, where they help aspiring cybersecurity analysts get apprenticeships, internships, and jobs. But the one prerequisite that they have in order for placing you in an apprenticeship or an internship is you have the Security Plus either have it or you get it, and they will actually help you get your Security Plus certification as well, to where they can put you out into these apprenticeships and these internships and externships. And
can you share the link for that in the chat?
I certainly can.
Thank you. Thank you. Crip, you had a question earlier. Is there any must-have hardware for cloud labs that I should get? You've been looking into nukes just for general home labbing, and wanted to hear about your thoughts, as cloud is basically a pay-as-you-go most of the time. I mean, yeah, for a home, I mean, any type of physical computer that can help you virtualize all of the things, since that's all the cloud is, right? Just learn to virtualize all of the things. You could spin up your own cloud at home if you have, a powerful enough computer to do it. That would be like the best route to go. Unfortunately, right now, RAM is like, I don't know, you probably have to donate a kidney to buy one, like some RAM. I don't know. That's going to be the biggest hurdle for, I think, most people for home labs nowadays. Like RAM is so expensive.
I was going to upgrade my laptops and my home lab mini PC RAM. These idiots, I couldn't.
It's ridiculous. Like I built two computers. When I built this computer, I built the second one that's almost identical, because I wanted to have a backup, because a few years ago, like my computer went down and I was out for like a week and it was terrible. So I was like, I'm never going to do this. Like, never let this happen again. Anyway, so it's like I have 128 gigs of RAM sitting in this other computer. I'm like, I could get so much money for that right now. Like, oh my gosh, I should just sell it.
I bet you can get like 1,000 for that.
Right? I think I paid like $400 for it. It's like, it's insane. Anyway, if we missed any questions, you are more than welcome to put them back in the chat. All that I ask is that you just don't spam them over and over again. I try to go through and get all the questions as we can,
Did
but
we get
we get.
did we get the question about
I was trying to find it.
securing your role from outsourcing?
Is that the one that you tagged me in? I know Brett tagged me in one too that I was trying to find.
I tagged you in a couple.
There's
I
one.
tried to tag you so you can maybe have an easier search mechanism to find them.
Yeah.
I had
So,
the one from-
this question is: I've been in tech security space for a number of years and have some decent certs. Beyond that, any thoughts on how can I best secure my role from outsourcing? And a follow-up from the same person, Cobrat, I think it will be the pronunciation. Not so much stopping management from doing, like, basically laying you off, because we know how that goes, but from getting better visibility in their organization so that if the time comes to downsize and able to show value, like basically showcase your work to prevent being laid off. Rolling.
Yeah. I don't know that you may not often see the signs of outsource coming, right? Like that's the biggest like issue I think with potentially trying to prepare for that. I mean, you brought it up, so maybe you do see the signs of that coming. And I think I'm going to go a completely different route with this, and not to like promote something and whatever, but I do have to promote Jason's Job Hunt Like a Hacker workshop that's coming up, because that would be my de facto like whatever, like because I don't think there's anything that you can necessarily do to prevent outsourcing. And if you're in a position where you have to defend yourself, I don't think that's a position that you want to be in anyway, right? Like if you're having to say, here's all the things that I do, this is why I should still have a job here with you, like that feels very like that would be very crappy, right? I would stay ahead of it and preparing yourself for what's next in your journey, because I personally wouldn't say like that staying in that role and within that organization would probably be best for your journey. I could be wrong, right? But again, I just want to take it a different way, because if I saw like those signs coming, I would wash my hands of that company and find something new. But that's me.
I answered it and said, if you're like, I asked for clarification, like, are they outsourcing? And then the way I answer is like, if you're trying to like show the justification on keeping you, show your impact and how it's like how you can't be replaced. Like, here's what I do on a daily. Here's all the things
100%.
I'm doing. Here's how that impacts us and how we save money by me being able to do all of this.
Yeah. That also prepares them to hire the next person to do those things potentially. You know, it is. That's why it's like that's a very difficult question to answer, and I'm glad that we've provided like different, perspectives on that.
Outsourcing is almost always driven not because they want someone who can do the job, they want someone who can be cheaper to pay so they can get more money on the bottom line. So it's nothing about the skills. They're just like they're willing to like train somebody or just pay cheaper people. That's what outsourcing is really driven by.
And at the end of the day, sometimes outsourcing is more expensive than just keeping the person. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen some outsourcing invoices. Those people charge like $400 an hour or something like that.
It's so funny. When I quit my hospital job and I was working in IT in the hospital, I was doing like the mobile device management there, and I was the administrator. So I was the only person who really knew the system. So when I quit, I put them in a bind. And they're like, can we hire you? Like consult, outsource, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's fine if you want for a few weeks or whatever. And they're like, I was like, I don't know. I guess, like $50 an hour or something's fine, cause that was already like, I think it was like almost double what I was making at the time or something. And my old boss, he's like, you mean like 95, right? Right. And I was like, what? He's like, you meant 95. I'm like, I said, he's like, I'm writing 95 here, Zach. I'm like, oh, okay. I hadn't like, I didn't understand that concept at the time. And then as I learned more about like consulting, I was like, oh my gosh, like in outsourcing, like, yeah, sometimes those people make a lot of money for sure. And sorry, Night Stalk, I think you were trying to say
Oh, you're
something.
good. Oh, no, you're good. But no, I mean, really, what it comes down to is, if I have to start justifying my pay voucher to somebody, then the culture of the business. I mean, my question is always is this: is the culture of that business really worth me sticking around?
Yeah.
Because I had the opportunity to learn a lot from entrepreneurs like Jack Taylor, the founder of Enterprise Rent a Car, and that the philosophy Jack Taylor's philosophy was always take care of your clients, take care of your employees, and the profits will follow. It obviously worked for him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just look at what Enterprise Mobility is now today. They are all over the world, and it started with a handful of cars at a dealership in St. Louis. Um, so so really, that's another question: is what is the culture? And I actually just talked about this not that long ago with someone, and I told him, I said, it when you go to a company, yeah, you may be auditioning for them, but make them, but at the same time, they're auditioning for you. And I understand we all need to eat, we all need income to support our families and ourselves, but at the same time, finding a place that is truly um, what a place that is, in a sense, worthy of us. Not so much are we worthy of them, are they worthy of us to have us in a chair in their organization? Um, so don't settle for just anything. Find an organization, and when you walk into that interview, know something about the company and
Gosh, yeah.
ask those pointed questions to where they have to square their corporate line to you. Um, and one of the biggest questions that I always ask: why is this position vacant? Is it something as simple as, well, this is a position that we created because it's new and we need somebody to come in and do this? Or is it, well, we just can't keep anybody in the seat? Well, why can't then why can't you keep the person in the seat?
Yeah, 100%. I love it. Like, it's so good to ask questions during the interview, and especially like pointed questions like that. Especially like for those of you who are maybe like newer to interviews and career, like I would imagine like asking a pointed question like that is going to be intimidating. I could 100% like feel that. But what's really important about asking those really like pointed questions is to see how people respond to them. Like you can really feel and understand a lot of how an organization works, operates. My screen just went black for no reason. Sorry. You can see, you really see or feel like understand a lot about an organization just based on how they answer some of your questions. Are they nervous answering your questions? Are they a little bit thrown off? Are they trying to like come up with an answer, fumbling over the words type of thing? Do they give each other funny looks? When you ask a question. Yeah, there's so many great things that you can like just pick up on from asking questions during an interview.
I am a big fan of letting your work speak for yourself. Like, don't do the showing off yourself. Let your work do its job. Uh, Although I'm really fortunate in my position where that's clearly seen, because I basically manage the entire service of my company, or like entire offensive security service. Uh, So it gets translated to the sales, to the feedback from clients, and all of that. But when I was not a manager, my reports talk about my job and how the clients gave feedback to my bosses. And that's the kind of thing that needs to be transparent, and for that you really need to be good at what you do. I'm not like the best hacker out there. What I'm good at is on translating technical stuff for the C-suite and giving like excellent feedback to them.
So your answer, like, there perfectly coincides with a question that Genuine Bot had earlier, and she had asked, "I've only had internships in the field, so I've got lots to learn. What's a simple habit that makes you noticeably better at your job?" And then she had note taking, time blocking, something else you swear by, communication. All day, every day, hands down, communication, communication, communication. That will always make you stand out above every single person in your organization if you can communicate better than like your peers, right? So yes, note taking, 100%, keeping really good detailed notes, especially like in your tickets as you're closing your tickets out and things like that. Those are going to be the things that really stand out. Being very communicative, to your direct reports, to your peers, your supervisors, et cetera, and even your end users, and having good communication with them, building good rapport with them. Like, those are the things that stand out so incredibly much. Those are the things that make you better at your job. And along those lines of just like with communication, like when you perfect that and you get better at that, like you will get so many more opportunities presented to you because of that. So that's hands down, like where, that's my answer for you. And how do you learn those things? Time. And hello, Michelle. It's good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you,
Yes,
Michelle.
what's up?
You want to answer a question?
No, I
Did you want
agree
to pop in on that one?
everything you say, and I would like to emphasize the networking piece. I always say this, and we always mention this, but most of the jobs I got in my career, actually almost all of them have been through people I knew. Not what I knew, like my skill sets and stuff. Sure, that was always there to get me to the front of the queue, but it was my networking and the people I knew that really got me the job. In fact, most of the jobs weren't even advertised. They were like, they knew me. They're like, "Hey, Michelle, you said you were looking for a job like last year when we met at a conference or whatever. You're still looking? We have a position open here." And it wasn't even advertised. I'm like, oh, this is how it's done in the real world. People don't really advertise the good jobs. So when I see a job advertised, I'm like, all right, this has gone through the scrutiny of the trusted circle and stuff, and they couldn't find anyone. Now it's shifted down to the public, and now 500 people are going to apply. So that's not the optimum way. Get to know more people.
100%. Thank you. I agree with that wholeheartedly. This is a great question I just saw from YouTube. This person, Tescalus, question has probably been asked many times before. It has. But what main topics should you know for a junior IT specialist interview? And this is a great question, just like all around. So first thing, I'm assuming that you have an interview coming up for a junior IT specialist. First thing that you do, go back to that job description. Look very, very closely at that job description. That is going to give you basically every indication of any type of question that you're going to be getting asked during the interview. Like what is it that they're specifically looking for, requesting that you have skills in. Like those might be things where they may potentially ask you questions. They may try to validate your expertise in those things. What you could do is take that job description and throw it into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, ChatGPT, based on this job description, what are some, technical questions that may be asked during this interview?" And I promise you, like it's not going to be maybe 100%, right? But it is going to get you very, very close to getting you questions that are going to very closely maybe mimic some of those questions that you could receive. And that could be a way that you could prepare yourself. I have an entire video course that I created. It's absolutely free. It's out on TCM security. I'll link it for you if I can pull it up here. I would strongly suggest that you just check that out because it's going to give you just tons of really helpful tips on what you can do to prepare for the interview. And I'm going to be doing a workshop for Antisyphon here this year. I just talked with Jason about it the other week. So Jason does job hunt like a hacker. I'm going to be doing job interview like a hacker. So that's going to be my workshop. And I'm super pumped for that because this is a topic that is like very, very near and dear to my heart. So yeah, I'm glad that I could help answer your question initially here, but I'd also have to kind of refer you somewhere else because I think the detail that you'll get from the full course is going to be much better than anything that I can try to tell you right now. There. Awesome. And if you guys see any other questions, let me know. If I look at my chat, I'm at 11:20 is when I'm scrolling back through. So I'm 20 minutes behind.
Yeah, I see a comment by Haircut Fish, a really good comment. I copy and paste the job info into AI, then prompt to ask you questions related to this type of job, as well as give you feedback on what you need to improve upon. To be honest, there's a lot of ghost jobs out there. I will say do what the cool kids do nowadays and use what was it called, a Sprout or something. This is an app that is basically like Tinder but for job applications that a lot of developers use. You just swipe jobs you like. I don't know if it works for cybersecurity, but the programmers I know that they like it and it works for them.
Bramblethorn, that's funny. Interviewing like a Jedi. I am the candidate you're looking for. I love that. Always ask good prepared questions. Yes. Yeah. I think that is a game changer in every interview, honestly. I'm sure a few of you like Leon, I don't know, Brad, have you been part of interviews since coming
here?
Okay.
I've done the interviews.
Yeah, I've been, part of hundreds, maybe thousands, probably not thousands, but hundreds of interviews for sure, right? And the amount of times like somebody like asks a question back to us, is slim to none. Like slim to none. And I always get so excited when somebody has a question, especially like a good question, like that they looked up information about what it is that we're doing, or maybe even information individually about some of the people who are part of the interview. Like that always like throws me off. It's like, oh wow, like this person actually did their research. What's a good question?
Yeah. Give me an example.
I guess depending on, there's always, I think it's okay. So depending on like the situation, right, is like a good question. I feel like, I guess if I was to offer a broad good question, I'm gonna look through my worksheet. Hold on, because my worksheet in that class wrote out a bunch of them.
Yeah,
So I'll tell you what's not a good question to ask, because I've been on both sides. Are things that are facts, like things that you look up about a company with OSINT, like about their employee count or their technology or their number of resources or branch offices and stuff like that. That's just a factual thing that everyone knows. You can Google that. In my opinion, a good question would be more about the future of the position. Like when they ask you, where do you see yourself in a few years in this role, you can ask that question back and say, how do you think I could progress on to the next level? What does my escalation look like here? I'll be whatever in this tech role for 2-3 years. How can I go to a more senior position in 3 years or 5 years or whatever? In my opinion, that's a good question to ask the employer, because it shows them that you want to grow.
Yeah.
It also shows you want to stay with them while you grow.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not here just for a few years and move on somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a really big question, because at my company, we didn't really have like a growth path. it was just like, okay, you're a pen tester, you're a senior pen tester, whatever. But my goal for before starting 2026 was defining like a growth path for red team, for pen testing, for internships, and all of that. Each like branch has its own levels and its own responsibilities, so it's really clear when you're gonna get promoted according to your skills. And that was my big project for December 2026. December 2025. Have that ready for 2026. And it got approved.
I'm just copy and pasting all the questions that I had from the worksheet that I created.
Mama Sugarcake had a question. Best resource for learning how to hold proper tabletop exercises.
Gosh, I don't know. Is there a good resource for that? I feel like somebody was working on something like that, but we don't really have like a training for backdoors and breaches though that would like help you conduct that yet.
My thing is they should be more fluid, so there shouldn't be like a one size fits all. So it's more understanding what is the goal of the exercise, what do you hope to get out of it, and then setting here's the points we need from it, here's the scenario, here's my expectation of where they should progress through this scenario. There's no one size fits all on how to perform it and hold the proper because it's a fluid thing. You don't want something too rigid where they're not going to think outside the box.
Jibba pretty much summarized like what I was thinking when Michelle asked me the question of like, what's a good question? Because my mindset was like, gosh, in an interview, like my questions are going to be so different based on the conversation that's being had in the interview. So Jibba said, but also pay attention to the questions you're being asked and think of something to ask back. Interview should be like a conversation, not an interrogation. I definitely agree with that.
Zach, I'm sorry. If I can jump back to the question about tabletop exercises and conducting tabletop exercises,
sure.
Depending on if you're considered to be critical infrastructure, CISA, get in contact with your CISA area cybersecurity advisor, because what they will do is they will actually come and help you conduct the tabletop exercise, put your incident response plan through a tabletop exercise. They'll have somebody there, as a note taker for every table, and at the end they give you a report on how everything went in that tabletop exercise. So, I mean, there are a plethora of resources out there as far as tabletop exercises. Usually, again, if you're considered to be part of critical infrastructure, state and local fusion centers usually participate in those. Will participate in those as well, and the cost is little to nothing for those critical infrastructure sectors. So just really knowing what where you fall into that spectrum and who to communicate with. There's a lot of great resources out there that will help you put those on and conduct those for you.
Well, we might be able to put something like that together, Brett. One thing that we are doing this year with Patterson, which I'm really stoked about, we have a brand new series coming out. So this will be probably maybe the first you all hear of it, but it's going to be called Roll for Breach. And what we're going to do is basically we're going to spend 2 hours and basically go through a scenario. So the first one, we're going to have Patterson coming on. We're going to go through like a business email compromise scenario. And it's going to be like a Dungeons and Dragons style, like live stream. What's up?
That's a live stream tabletop exercise.
Yeah, basically. We're not going to heavily use backdoors and breaches, but it will be integrated into the session a little bit. But I think after that would be a perfect opportunity to get Patterson to do that. So that might be a good like segue thing here. So I think we could do something like that. But you guys are we will have tabletop stuff coming up this year. And I just scrolled down to the bottom of the chat. So if there was questions that we missed, please throw them back in the chat. I would appreciate that. Andrew out on LinkedIn, is this session going to be recorded so we can listen to stuff if we missed? Yes, absolutely. You'll be able to find this out on the YouTube. I think the LinkedIn will save the recording too, but I will get you the YouTube link. Hopefully y'all had a good holidays and all that fun stuff. I was actually kind of excited to come back to work this week. Probably kind of weird. But we were off for basically 2 weeks for the holidays. And I was bored. Like, I had some projects that I worked on, and I had more projects that I wanted to do that I didn't get to, but I was just like, I just want to go back to work. This is weird.
I went
Sir
to the
Jules.
beach, hang out with friends. Although on the beach, I went on a bad day, which we didn't have a lot of sun, but we did have a lot of wind that made the waves like really violent.
All right. Sir Jules. Hey, Zach, when do you know it's time to pivot? You're currently in a position in the hospital at CSR, been there 4 years. There's no room for a new system administrator. Well, there you go. I'm sorry. That's your answer. Yeah. That's when you know it's time to pivot. That's actually, it's time to pivot when you are getting bored, honestly. Really, like when you find yourself just being like completely like bored, really, with like what you're doing in a day to day, or like there's like one very specific task within your role that you're just like dreading all of the time, but it's part of your job and you have to do it. That's a time to pivot. Like the moment that like you find any type of opportunity for your mind to wander, I feel like is a great opportunity to pivot. Like when you're just not feeling what you're doing anymore, like that's the time to pivot. And then there's probably thousands of other things to identify to when you should be pivoting that are outside of like you. So just like seeing things within the organization that you don't agree with or that aren't working or whatever, and that would be a sign to pivot. But when it specifically comes to you, when you are, if you are not had a raise in some time, if you haven't been giving like new opportunities or new projects or any type of opportunity for advancement, that's a sign to pivot. Like we could probably sit here for a long time to think about like different signs to pivot. It's not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. Pivoting in IT is like, I can't figure out like the best way to say this, but it is really, really like pivotal to your career, because the more that you guys, I'm so sorry that I said that because that was cheesy, but it really does help. Like you will advance yourself. The more that you are like, pivoting is pivotal. Yes. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Go ahead, Michelle. I'm done. I can't.
I'm going to quote you on that now. Pivoting is pivotal.
Thank you.
But I would add to what you're saying generically, when your perceived value drops. It's not your value will never drop, it'll always keep growing. But when your perceived value drops, when your manager or your company no longer values you as much as they did when they hired you because of competition, because of growth, because of stagnation, because you got bored, so many other reasons, that's when you pivot. Like in my entire career, I've moved jobs within I think the first job I moved within 3 months, then 6 months, then 10 months, then 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. I think the longest I've stayed was my previous job 2 years ago, which was 5 years. Because I just kept getting either bored or I found better opportunities, better pay, better areas to move to. So you could stay the same. Everything about you could be the same. But if you move from, let's say, a big city to suburban America somewhere, suddenly your value becomes double. Nothing about you changed, just the environment changed, and now your perceived value increases, your pay raise maybe increases, your positions increase. So there's so many factors here. Keep pursuing those things. Don't stagnate.
Yeah, piggybacking on that, I would say that it's important to choose to pivot when you can see that there is a dead end for the path that you're in, for the role that you're in. I worked for a big name company, and they had a annual review scheme where it was operationally impossible to get a 5.0 perfect score on those reviews. And the reviews gave you an exact percentage, whole number percent, that your raise would be for the year. Anytime that's not tracking cost of living, that role itself is a dead end. And you can map for yourself based on cost of living how soon you need to pivot out of that role into something else for purely financial reasons. You can use that to map for yourself a timeline for what you want to do when it's time to be somewhere else already. Whether that's a company you love being at and you want to find a different role within the company that gives you enough growth versus this was the role I could get. Anything that looks like moving up is something I don't want to touch. So you need to look for somewhere else. You still have your timeline for when to get out. I'm seeing a head
Thank you,
shake
sir.
from Zach. I'm wondering if you
it's the
know which
chat.
company I was thinking of.
No, it's the chat.
Oh, all right.
I'm being harassed, and they think it's funny.
Oh, of course.
It's not
I would also
harassment.
say
It's
pivot
stating
when
of
you can.
facts.
It's tough love.
I did want to jump back to the interview questions. I think of these as ask back questions because they're going to ask you stuff. You need to ask them back. There's a lot of stuff, like Zach said, that is very situational and specific to the company or the role or the particular person you're talking to. But one thing that I would say is worthwhile, and there are better ways to phrase this depending on whether you're talking to someone who might be a colleague and is doing a team member interview versus someone who is going to be a manager and might be your direct hiring manager or might be someone who manages another team and is doing the interview for whatever reasons. And that is, if you had known something day one that it took you the first year to learn, or what should I expect? Let's assume that we bring me on board. What should I expect out of the company? What's the big thing I should take away during my first year there? It sets a few pieces of tone for you that are really positive. One is it makes them think about you, assuming you did come on board, instead of, am I going to bring this person on board? They are now thinking, what will it be like with this person on board? And that's a nice little tweak of their mindset that works in your favor. The other thing that's good about it is you get something that cannot be easily researched and that will tell you a lot, both in what they answer and how they answer, about the culture of the company and the way that they talk to each other about things, the stuff that comes up and blindsides them or that takes a while before the company really makes sense to you as a company and what you do. All of those things will help you decide whether this is an opportunity that you have to take because of circumstances, but there is going to be a reason to look for an exit, or something where you know it's going to be a terrible fit, or something where you get a good feel for the fact that it's going to be a place you could hang out and enjoy being there while you are working. Like, you're going to be working somewhere. You might as well pick somewhere that doesn't suck, or at least where your eyes are very open about the things you're going to have to, grit your teeth and bear with until you can move on to whatever's next for you.
Sure. Thank you, Siri. Appreciate you. There was one other question, and we got a couple minutes left. There was one other question that I saw.
The one about AI pen testing tools.
No, that was for Brett or for you. What's the best way to get your foot in the door besides certs, home lab, like reaching out on LinkedIn? LinkedIn sounds unprofessional. Should I make a post saying I'm looking, or does that make you sound too desperate? Been 5 months since graduation. Couple of things, I guess. So definitely networking is huge. Like, please network as much as you can. Go to all the like local meetups and things that you can. I don't know that I would necessarily put out on LinkedIn, hey, I'm looking for a job, like as a post itself. What I would more so, like what I would suggest is you making posts on things that you're working on, things that you're doing, projects that you've done, and trying to find other people who are working on similar things so that you can be part of those conversations. That's going to be where your time is going to be best suited, with like being on LinkedIn and trying to like network there. It's more just being part of that community and being part of the conversation, providing your perspective, your input, your thoughts on those things over and over and over again. And that's how people start to notice you and see, you know, who you are, et cetera. You know, like those are going to be like the biggest things that you can do. So like you being here and you participating here is a wonderful first step. Now take exactly what you're doing here and being active with us and do the same thing on LinkedIn. And you can even ask these same questions to other people on LinkedIn, right? If they make a post about something that's, you know, directly related to something like you're interested in, don't be afraid to ask them a question about it. Like either message them privately or just leave a comment on their thing and start that conversation. That is the most important thing above all else, is just starting that conversation and really having that conversation visible is going to be, I guess, the best part. So I guess sending a DM isn't going to be like the best, but if you're shy, like I totally get it. But if you're trying to get noticed, it's putting that conversation out there for everybody to see. And it's more so of like getting people to understand and see like your thought process and how you handle things and deal with things and what perspectives that you have that you're bringing to the table. That's what it's all about.
For that.
Good.
My thing is, if you DM, you're just a picture with a speech. But if you're meeting them at an event, like if you shake their hand, you have a physical contact. That's an additional association of you. You've actually they've seen your face. They get to know you on a personal level. That those multiple steps reinforce your impact to them and their awareness of you. So the more you go out and get face to face with people, the more they're gonna learn who you are. Just having a name like on a message, like 90% of the people that I don't know if this is AI messaging me. I don't know if this is a real person. Being a real person and talking to them face to face is the best step. If you don't feel like you can carry on a conversation initially, what you can do is say, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing, and I'm trying to get out here, and you give them a card and then contact them after the fact with a follow-up email, and you can carry on that conversation. That secondary means that you're more comfortable with, but you've initiated that thing. You've become something that you're not just a name on a paper, you're an actual person.
Sure. Thank you, sir. I saw you answered the AI pen test question. Thank you. We are at time for our session today. So thank you to everybody who joined us, and if you hung out, that's wonderful. Thank you for hanging out. If you participated, I truly appreciate you being here and participating. It's fantastic to see you all here. Thank you, Leon, Brett, Siri, Michelle, Night Stalker. You guys are fantastic, wonderful, amazing. Love you all. I hope you all have a great week. If you guys want to come back for more, we do these every single Tuesday, same time, same place. So feel free to come back and join us and ask questions or just hang out. That's cool. But until next time, see y'all later. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Have a good one.